My name is Russ, and I am an alcoholic. This is the old timers panel for the Red Stick Roundup. First, let's start this off with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, thank you all for all coming. This is a Q&A type panel. I'm going to ask a question kind of for all of them. They're going to give a brief, 5 minutes on it. And then after that, we'll open the floor. Justin has a mic to anybody that has any questions. It could be a question for all four of them. It could be a question, for our individual. If you just have a question for Ms. Dez, it could be just to Ms. Dez, and that's how it's going to go. So what I came up with, each of y'all, have long links of sobriety. I know two of these people personally. Seen them around a lot. The other two I've seen around the rooms. I know they're very active in Alcoholics Anonymous. So my question to y'all is, even with the length of sobriety that y'all have, y'all been around the rooms for a long time. How important is it after having all these years of sobriety for y'all to still be active members of Alcoholics Anonymous? And we can start with you, Ms. Dez.
My name is Dez. I think I got it right. My name is Dez, and I'm an alcoholic. Okay. And my sobriety date is January 2nd, 1987. And my home group is 24-hour group. Anything else? That's it? Okay, and how important it is for me to be around. I have to continue to do what I did in the beginning. I need to be connected, and that's real important that sometimes we get long lengths of sobriety and we don't want to go to meetings. We don't want to be active in a home group. We don't want to share. We don't want to, but it's important for me, especially after I had a 4-year breakaway because I was sick. So I could not wait to get back in the room so I could see people because I had to talk to them on the phone and talk to them on Zoom. It wasn't the same. I needed the hugs. I needed people to be there and say it was okay. So they told me, you just keep coming back. So sometimes I go to meetings for me, sometimes I go for you, and sometimes I just go to meetings.
Thank you. My name is Gordon. I'm an alcoholic. My home group is a Magnolia group. And my sobriety date is March 21st, 1990. Now, why do I still continue with the program? I don't want to go back. Now, when I first got sober and I went to meetings, 90 meetings in 90 days, and because I was such a busy and important person, I said, how in the world am I going to do this 90 meetings, an hour a day? Well, my sponsor at the time told me, well, how much time did you spend drinking in a day? Okay, well, he had me on that one. But anyway, when I went to the meetings, after the meeting, if someone had picked up a slip chip, I would go and ask them what happened. Because, meetings are important to find out what to do, but also what not to do. And so, anyway, they would tell me after the meeting, I'd, say, look, what happened? Why did you have a relapse? And they say, well, let's see, either the wife left them, or the wife came back, or the dog bit them, or they had a flat tire, all the excuses that we can use. There's only one reason why I drank that like I did, because I was an alcoholic. But anyway, what was consistent with every single reply, and I quit going to meetings. Now, meetings alone cannot keep me sober, but I have to attend meetings or I'm going to get sober. And if you want to try that little experiment, you ask the ones that slipped what happened. and you see a great number of them will reply the same way. But anyway, I love my home group. I have a sponsor. I work the steps. My wife keeps a watch on me. And let me tell you something else too. Al-Anon is a great program. It has strengthened our sobriety, my sobriety, and our relationship has been really reinforced by her attending Al-Anon. Sometimes I get kind of aggravated, but most of the time, most of the time, it's a good thing. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gail, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is January 9th, 2006, and my home group is Shivering Denizens. We meet at the central office on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, and it's a closed meeting, and it's a fabulous meeting. And I have tons and tons of friends there, as well as in this room. I was unsure why I was asked to do this, because I just recently picked up my 19-year chip, which I, wonderful, and I was very happy with that. But look at these guys, I mean, and I don't know Will yet, so I don't know how much sobriety you have, but I just didn't think 19 years, but I am old, so I figure maybe that's what they meant by old timer, okay? That's whatever. I looked forward to this, actually, and I'm not big on public speaking, but I will tell you the very, very short, abbreviated version of my story. I drank to self-medicate depression. It started in my 20s. When I was in my early 30s, I quit drinking for 5 years because it was kind of making me maudlin. I guess it was starting to turn on me, although I didn't realize that, but I gave it up, and I don't think I was an alcoholic at that point. 5 years went by, just like the guy on page 33, the man of 30 doing the drinking, and then he quits for 25 years to build his career, and then he starts drinking when he retires. And he goes to seed very, very, very quickly. And I was afraid that was going to happen to me. When I did start drinking again very moderately, it just slowly progressed. And it eventually progressed itself right over the line. And so I remembered how I had quit drinking for 5 years. Nobody in my family's an alcoholic. I never got to go to a meeting with anybody when I was a kid or anything like that. So I knew zip about AA. And my therapist at the time kept trying to get me to go to AA, and I kept saying, I'm not like those people, okay? Because I had no idea what you people were like, frankly. But the drinking progressed, and it was getting worse, and there were a lot of situations that were causing the depression. It says alcohol was but a symptom. We had to get down to causes and conditions. And that's what I finally realized I had to do. But what happened in the interim was that Katrina happened in New Orleans, where I was living, and I lost everything and made it up here and hit my bottom, thank God, and didn't have anybody to call because, of course, everybody was scattered. Phones didn't even work. But I decided to stay in Baton Rouge, and I came into AA 4 months after Katrina, and I was living in a hotel at the time. And it's so crazy because when I walked into my very, very, very first meeting, and it was an all-women's meeting, I felt like I had walked into my home. I felt at home. I felt these women, even though I don't know anything about them, I just felt this like emanation of love, warmth. And they, of course, listened to my sad sob story and whatnot. And then at the end of the meeting, and this is really the only funny thing I have to say in my drinking experience, is after the end of the meeting, after they had listened to me whine for a while and whatnot, they reoffered the desire chip, and everybody at the table turned and looked at me. And I said, I think I'm supposed to do something here. So I picked up that desire chip. That is, thank God, the first and only desire chip. I carry it around in the big book that I use because it is the most important chip that I have. And what happened is that I found a purpose in my life. I was still working. I was going to meetings like crazy. didn't really work the steps. Believe it or not, I'm a little shy when I first meet people, so I did not get a sponsor right away. I did not work steps right away, but the meetings kept me coming back and coming back and coming back. And when I finally jumped in with both feet, immersed myself in AA, retired, had more time, I discovered my purpose in life. And I realized that I had gypped myself the first 7 years by not sponsoring anyone. And I jumped into sponsorship, and today, the greatest joy of my life is to work with other women. And I'm going through some things in my personal life that are a little difficult, but you know what? These girls have helped me so much. So when people say, yeah, go out and give it away and whatnot, I'm getting it back in spades, y'all. I'm telling you, it's just amazing. This is my purpose. I cannot even imagine my life without AA. I can't even imagine it. The last 19 years, I'm 76, have been the best 19 years of my life. Thank you.
I'm an alcoholic named Will. My clean date is December the 3rd, 1993. And, I'm still here because of a program that just gives. And it's made me a giver. Over the years since I've been here and been working in recovery, when I found out that I suffered from a disease of selfishness, then I knew immediately at a point that I had to become selfless. And it was a great prelude you just gave to segue into this moment of recovery. For me, it is about giving as much as I can. If this thing had been set up any other kind of way, I wouldn't have gotten it. And I'm telling y'all, I live a life today that I have a lot of peace. Don't mean I don't have some bumps in the road, but I don't hold them bumps all day no more. When they're done, because I have learned how to set myself free, not just to gain freedom, and to get some choices and some options in this, but I have also learned how to set myself free for things when they come at me to try to bind me up. That's called empowerment, and that's a great gift in this program. So I'm here, and I'm gonna keep coming because of this gift of freedom that I got, and this gift of freedom and this message I got that not only will set me free, but set others free. Thanks.
Thank you, Will.
All right, we're going to open the floor. If you have a question, raise your hand. Justin will bring you the mic. It could be a question for somebody in particular, or it could just be a question for everyone to answer. You know what I'm saying? Just quiz them. I want to hear something from Ms. Dez. Floor is open.
I want to ask, give me one thing. I'm Eric, alcoholic and addict. Porto's Home Group. I got one question. I just want to know one thing that'll help strengthen your spiritual journey.
Whoever.
All four of y'all.
I'm Gordon, I'm an alcoholic. And what has strengthened my spiritual journey? I'm thinking that's the question.
Yeah.
Was that correct? Okay. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of the steps. That's 1 through 11. And that strengthened my spiritual well-being by working the steps. That's the answer to my spiritual well-being. Anyone else want to comment?
Okay, I agree with him on working the steps, but more importantly, I've had to continue to be open-minded to everything. The willingness has to come, whether it comes out of the book, the 12 by 12, the AA book, or from another person, because a lot of times people share experiences, and I'm sitting there and they say, well, this worked for them, and I go, wow, The other thing, the prayer and meditation, Praying, I'm talking to God. Meditation, He's talking to me. So I have to silence my mind. The other thing, I use other resources. You know, I use the church sometimes. I buy different kind of meditation books. But one of the things, I always look for me in whatever I'm reading. If I have a meditation, a thought for the day, I need to look for how does that apply to me, not how does it apply to you. And again, being open-minded, honest, and willing. And growing with the ups and downs that I've had in 38 years, a lot of it has been growing experience. I didn't think it was a spiritual experience at that time. I'm like, oh, wow, what is going on? But through every hard time and difficult time, when I got on the other end, I saw the growth from it.
Well, by the time I got here, what's that? Oh, okay. I don't know how to hold the mic. By the time I got here, I had long ago rejected the God of my understanding as a child, and I was, looking for spirituality in all the wrong places, basically, trying different churches, go to the Buddhist temple, go to the Unitarian church, whatever, just trying to find a higher power. So when I got here, I didn't have one, and I figured out pretty quickly I needed to get one. I worked step 1, and then after struggling with 2 for a while, I just jumped over to 3 and said, if you're out there, whoever, whatever you are, here it is. I practiced my favorite slogan, let go and let God. I didn't have the God to give it to, but I did know I didn't want it anymore, so I just kind of said, I'm laying this burden down, and if there's something out there, you pick it up and do something with it. And, results started from that point. My favorite chapter in the big book is We Agnostics. It saved me because I didn't have to believe anything in particular. There were no big rules or guidelines to what my God had to look like. And so I have developed, and it changes. It's a growing, evolving relationship with a higher power, but it always works. That's the amazing thing about it, is that when I let go and let God, things work out the way they should. And if anybody heard the morning speaker, when he talked about his experience with standing up in front of a judge and pleading guilty, not knowing what was going to happen, and the way his life evolved as a result of making that right choice. That's been my experience in the past 19 years. And, like I said, We Agnostics just really has so much wonderful stuff in there about, it's not about what to believe in. It's about how to find your own road to God, or whatever you call it. And so, this is not a religious program. We don't have any do's and don'ts and chants. We do have a few, you better do this or you're going to be sorry, but but otherwise we don't have any rules to follow. And I'll bet everybody in here, every single one of us has a different concept of our higher power to some degree. And that's worked for me, and it's given me a great deal of peace. And I feel like I am an example of that saying, God brought us to AA, and AA brought us to God. Thank you.
Still alcoholic. Will, my biggest thing, I think, spiritually, has been step 2. For me, getting that connection with the God of my understanding, but first, seeing the power and the evidence of Him in my life. See, my story in my life, my relationship with the God of my understanding started even before I was born. See, from working the step works, I've been able to track it back to Him having a relationship with me. So as I've grown in my recovery, I have seen how important it is, that connection in my life. Because the most perfect thing in my life is the God of my understanding. It's taken a lot of the pressure off of me to try to be perfect, and accept my shortcomings, because I know who can make them perfect. It's only a perfect thing can make the things perfect for me, and if I allow that thing in my life to do its part, then life becomes reasonable, and that's I think what a lot of us in here are searching for. No matter how long you've been here, if you still having some struggles in your life, you got to find some way to come to reason with that chaos or whatever it may be. And for me, when I can turn that over to God, to the God of my understanding, not have to worry about it. Let him do his thing. You know, it works better for me because, man, I've had to let go of some people in my family recently that if you would have told me 5 years ago I was going to have to do it, I'd have probably told you feet stink and you don't have no God of your understanding. But, you know, for me today, I know it's true because I know he's working those situations out. Because if I put my hand in and do what I want to do, it's going to be a mess. I have too many times in my past that I've seen it become a mess. So, you know, if I don't recognize the power, that power in my life, and the evidence of the power in my life, what am I going to turn my life to 0-3 anyway? You know, so for me, it's very important for me to have that growing relationship, you know, that more trusting relationship, you know, that me getting better, but that thing is already perfect, you know, and accepting that and letting it do what it do and doing my little part and let God do those big things in my life. That's it.
My name is Alice. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I would like to ask Miss Des, we're all apparently, after getting 30 years of clean sobriety time, no breaks in between, and you go through problems in life like divorce, get pregnant, what do you do with those challenges that's coming because they are all new to you? So how do y'all hold on to that and continue to stay on this journey of recovery?
Okay. My dad's alcoholic. I think the first experience that I had, and I was, let's just say I was undrunk. When I divorced my husband. And I tell you, it did not take very long for me to figure out that there was problems other than alcohol. See, the problem wasn't the husband. That's called I did not follow good directions, and I did not do a thorough 4th and 5th step, because you know I had secrets. I can't tell people all my business. Well, I quickly found out with the sponsor I had, we had to go take a little trip down to the lake by LSU and have a deep conversation, and I discovered what part I played in all of that. And that was the first time I had ever been open-minded to look at me and not say, well, he did this, 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 and this. It's what did I do? And as time went on, I went through 2 surgeries, and my parents died, and a friend got killed. And I was kind of angry then, and I didn't know what to do. And it was right at 10 years, and I'll never forget, I walked in a club, and Charles, he's gone now, he looked at me, he said, I think you need to go see a psychiatrist. I said, why would he tell me something like that? Guess what? I went to see the psychiatrist. And when I did, he told me a couple of things. He said, all your branches have broken. You went from one pain to the next pain to the next pain, and you didn't know how to get out of it. He said, so I'm going to do my part. My part is to give you one little pill. It's not going to cure you. You're going to come to counseling once a week, but I want you to continue to go to meetings. Go to meetings, so that you can hopefully get a well-balanced life and get some forgiveness and understand that it's not your fault these things happen. Bad things do happen to good people. And that was another growing point for me to be able to say, oh, so it's not me, it's okay, and I can get past this, because I didn't think I could get past that, because my thing was, well, I ain't gonna fall in love with you because you're gonna die on me. Well, that's not true either, but those are kind of things. And then the last one with the cancer. Needless to say, I was so surprised when the doctor told me, I'm like, you don't tell nobody that on no Friday afternoon. And, it's like, really, I said, back in the day, I probably would have went somewhere and got drunk, smoked something or whatever, and I called one of my friends. I said, well, if I feel this way tomorrow, I might have to smoke some. She said, okay, let me know, I'll smoke with you. I said, okay, that sounds good. But then after getting home and processing it and really coming to, and it took a couple of days, because I really was shocked. I was like, huh, what? I didn't know what to do. And I called my sponsor and I called some other people, and they said, do nothing. God says yes, no, and wait. So maybe you don't need to be trying to take control of anything. You need to follow some orderly direction. Thank God for COVID. COVID kind of kept me in, so I couldn't go anywhere. But the truth was, I had to get into a lot of acceptance. And here I learned another thing. Acceptance does not mean you're okay with the situation. It just means it is what it is. And recognizing what I can do something about and what I can't do something about. What I can do, then I need to have the courage to do it. But I also need the courage to be able to say, it's nothing I can do about that. So with the program, with a lot of wonderful friends in here and people that I work with, I was able to walk through that. And wow, it turned out great, you know, and my ability to trust grew bigger. My relationship with my higher power. Now, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna shut up. Sometimes I can be agnostic. On certain situations, I go, oh, you know, especially with my son. Now, God, you just not fixing this fast enough for me, and I might need to do this, and the other. And then I go, oh, you need to pull back on that. That has not worked in the past. So that does pass quickly. It doesn't stay as long as it used to. Okay.
Thanks, Des.
I'm Gordon, I'm an alcoholic.
Gordon.
I heard something over 34 years ago, and guess where I heard it? I heard it at a meeting. If I hadn't been at the meeting, I wouldn't have heard it. And this person said, nothing in the world can happen to me that is so bad that drinking can't make worse. Okay, that's all I got.
So, let me think about this for a second. I used to think I was a realist, okay, and that I could tell what was going on in the world. I did not realize until I came into this program that I was so completely separated from reality. When they say, the first time I ever heard in this program, denial isn't just a river in Egypt, okay? And when I realized how much in denial I was, and looking back, the causes and conditions of my alcoholism were the fact that I would not accept the reality of the way my relationship with my daughter was turning out. And it took years and years for this to evolve, and I have learned a lot. But about a year and a half ago, she stopped speaking to me completely, and I don't even really have a clue why. But for whatever reason, I started to realize how much I had drank over this situation, waiting for it to hit bottom, and it finally did. And even though it's very, very sad, and I'm mourning the loss, really, in a way, because I don't know what's going to happen. She may never come back. But what I learned in this program is to try to be as grateful as possible about whatever I have going on in my life that's positive, to focus on the positive and not the negative. So even though I miss her very much, I have some young women as sponsees who are like daughters to me, and I treat them like my daughters. And I'm treating y'all the same way that I treated her. So apparently I wasn't a terrible mom, but you never can tell what goes wrong in a relationship, and I just have to accept it. That's where the serenity prayer comes in. If I can't change it, I have to learn to live with it. And like Dad said, you don't have to like it to accept it. But I have had, because of this program, so many wonderful experiences with all kinds of people. Even sponsees that have gone on, whether they went back out, some have died, some have stayed sober and moved to other places and are having great, wonderful, sober lives. I can't control any of that. All I can do is offer them what I have to give, share my experience, strength, and hope, and then be grateful for what I have in my life. Gratitude has saved me because it has taken some of the sting out of this situation, because I have to look at the rest of my life and think about how blessed I have been. for these last 19 years, and I am truly, truly thrilled and grateful to be an alcoholic. You know, they say, well, this is the club nobody wants to belong to. But I tell you what, you'd have to really chase me out of here because I have got a tenacious hold on AA, and I plan to be here until I close my eyes for the last time. And it's all because of the way this program works to keep me in positive thinking, and that's not the same thing as denying reality. I understand reality today very, very well, but I don't dwell on it if it's unpleasant. I'm just trying to stay as positive and grateful as I can. And today I am a happy camper, in spite of a lot of things going on.
For me, I came into this process because I was sick and tired of the old process. You know, and that stuff ain't going nowhere. You know, and for me, I knew nothing about living. I just really just wanted to stop the effects of alcohol on my life. You know, but when I got here, I found there was so much more to it, you know, and like I said, my peace and my freedom means so much to me, you know, and the tools in here let me know right out the bat, you know, and as I talk to people a lot of times, I tell them, I say, you know, because I tell my guys to work step 0. It is a step 0. It's not listed as a step in the literature, but it is a step. And that is, don't put it in your hand, don't put it in your body, you won't get loaded. Just that simple. And you have to work that. Then you can go on to step 1. Because until you do that, there is no step 1. You either ready to start step 0 or you're in the negatives. You know, and most of us know what the negatives are. You know, so for me, you know, I don't want to go back to the negative living. I'll never forget the hopelessness I had when I got here. And that's the number one driving force. And the number one thing I keep in mind to not go back to. Because you can come here and get sober and still be miserable. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that either. So I take these principles and apply them in my life because I know I have to live different. Wasn't enough just to stop drinking. I had to live different. You know, and today I can live different so I can get through those issues, not just for me, but the people that I love. If I practice a principle in my life, it's amazing how the God of my understanding will roll that blessing over to the people I care about too. You know, I tell people this one thing all the time. I say, the best gift you can give yourself is a better you. What can you give yourself than a better you? Because you know what happens when you give you a better you? Your family get a better you. The world get a better you. You get a better you. You know, and those things, you know, are the things that make the process worth going through. You know, because there are going to be tough things. There are going to be some things we don't want to face, some things we don't want to feel, but we can survive them if we ain't drinking and we're applying these new principles to our life. You know, I said in some of the meetings I go to, I tell people, you can get with this or you can get with that. It's just that simple. And if you get with this, don't come halfway. You didn't go halfway out there. Get it all. Because it's all available to you, and there's nobody here that can't get it. I mean, we sit up here talking about it. We ain't talking about just getting it. We up here because we keeping it. It's not enough to just get it, but to be able to keep it is the great blessing. And then when you share it, I'm say this part and don't be quiet. The best part, I'm gonna tell y'all, the best drunk I get, I still get drunk, but I get drunk when I help other people. And you know what? I ain't broke out in no handcuffs since I did that. You know, I haven't had a hangover, under, around, or through since then. I always feel better. And you know why I feel better? Because I know I'm doing what the God of my understanding want me to do, especially when I bless somebody else, because not only am I happy, they happy, but I know God is too.
I'm Julia, and I have a question about sponsoring. So I've been around for a while, and when I first came in, they would say, and it's not in the book, they would say that the men had to sponsor the men, and the women had to sponsor the women. And I want you guys to tell the newcomers, explain to them why, and have y'all sponsor men and women. I know my sponsor have, but I just would like to know that, and I think they would too, the truth about this.
Okay. All right. Okay. Boy, I'm the guilty one. It was really by default, y'all. The first time somebody asked me to sponsor a young man was LaFawn, and she had a young guy in a halfway house, and she said, Miss Dez, I need you to take him on. I think he needs a mother. I said, a who? Well, needless to say, he wasn't interested in no mother, and he wasn't interested in getting sober. But the next one was through drug court, and I happened to walk in one day, and there was a young man standing there, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and Miss Jessie said, he needs a sponsor. I said, huh? I said, okay, I'll take him. And I said, now I don't know what I'm going to do with him, but I'm going to take him. And I did. And that young man actually, when I made 21 years, he was 21 years old. Okay? You know, now, why it's not recommended? Because you have to be really careful, and you have to be spiritually fit, and you have to not cross the line. Some people can do that, but all men and women cannot do that, okay? Because if you do that before, here we go. Love on AA campus. You know, and I'm supposed to be sponsoring you, but I'm making sweet eyes at you, okay? So you have to be spiritually fit not to do that. And you have to know for sure and discuss it with one other person before you jump on that bandwagon. You know, don't just say, because every time that I've had a young man or an old man, I've always discussed it with someone else, you know, before I jumped into it. So you got to be ready for that. You really have to. Everybody's not ready for that. We'd like to say we're ready, but we're not. So I think it would serve you very well, because when I did the little boy that was 21, at 21 years, I go to tell you how long I'd been sober when I picked him up, a long time. Not that I would be attracted to a 21-year-old by any means, okay? I had one his age, and I didn't like him. No, I said that, didn't I? Yes, I did. So I encourage you, before making a decision like that, you need to talk to your sponsor, or talk to some of the men or some of the women, and they're going to ask you this question: are you sure you're not interested in that person? And you're going to lie. Of course, we say, oh, no, I'm not interested in him that way. Well, honey, if he's close to your age and he's good looking, you might want to be careful, okay? Especially if you're making little sweet eyes. So that could be very dangerous, you know. So I just, Gordon, what's your experience with that?
Well, first off, I was told early on, AA is not a Lonely Hearts Club. Our primary purpose is you know what. And I've never had, well, God, maybe I'm not good looking enough, but I've never had a woman want me to be her sponsor. But I would have refused it, because I fully believe in men for men and women for women. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But okay, I'll just say this. I cannot qualify to understand all of a woman's problems. And so, you know, it would be like me trying to sponsor somebody else with a different addictive problem. I could be causing harm, and I'm talking about harm in them losing their life. And so one of the rules that I have with my sponsees, that's when they're early in, is that they're not allowed to get into a personal relationship for at least a year. And the person that they get into a relationship with has to have worked the steps. They have to have worked the steps. What do we call it? Walking around sense? You know, sometimes we think just a real good boyfriend or girlfriend is all I need in life. That this, that's where all my problems resolved around. There's much more to it than that. And so I just caution people who are early in the program to be careful in that respect. It's been my observation, okay? And I'm not going to say that this is what the whole deal is and that, it hadn't worked on in time, because the book tells us that a relationship between two members can work. And, but it doesn't say anything about the first few months or first two weeks or anything like that. But anyhow, it's been my observation that one of the two most frequent causes of people relapsing is a relationship that thought it was the answer, but actually it was toxic. And they went back out. And that's, look, we're talking about life and death here. And so, that's just something that I'm hard and fast about. I just don't recommend it to anyone. And usually, maybe the one that has the least sobriety or hasn't worked the steps will also pull the other one into relapse too. So anyway, that's it.
Can I say something right quick before y'all keep going? Y'all are really messing it up, because me and Russ have been trying to sponsor Danielle and Aaron for years, and they will not listen. And y'all are giving the wrong answers right now. I'm joking. Okay, keep going.
No, he's not. He's not joking.
Okay, so earlier I was saying that one of the things that's attracted me to AA so strongly is that we do not have hard and fast rules, okay? But we have some strong suggestions, and the suggestions are based on our experience, strength, and hope. In early AA, there were very few women alcoholics, so it was really difficult for women to find another woman to sponsor her. If you just might have one lady who's sponsoring, trying to sponsor 20 women. So in my experience, in my sobriety, probably because I was older when I got here, okay? So I was not a young thing, and I wasn't looking for anybody, and nobody seems to be looking for me. But I don't do the eye fluttering and all of that, so I think I put out a signal that, no, do not apply here. This is nothing for you here. But I have had a couple of men who, over the years, of various ages, have insisted that I was their sponsor. And maybe they just didn't want to be told by another man what to do. I have no idea what the reasoning is. But if I can help someone, and I won't call them a sponsee, but I'll tell them, you can call me, you can. And I've even volunteered when men have had difficulty getting with a sponsor or whatever the deal is, to do a fourth and fifth step, and they're really, really, really wanting to do it. I will tell them, I will hear your fourth and fifth step except the sex part, because I can't help you with that. I know nothing about that part of being a male. But men and women have the same kinds of issues and selfishness and all of the things that women alcoholics have, so do men. And if there's a way I can help or mentor somebody, there's currently a gentleman who, he's a little bit younger than me, but not that much. But I happen to be chairing a meeting that it was one of his very first AA meetings, and God knows what I said. But this man insists that I'm the reason that he's stuck with AA. And, I've told him, you're doing the deal, you whatever, but he does not have a sponsor. I kept trying to get him to get one. But the point is this: if I can help somebody, I'm not going to turn them down because of the fact that they're of the opposite sex. I want to be able to help anybody who needs helping. But as a general rule, especially when it comes to younger people, I don't think it's a good idea to cross over, because men and women do have many different experiences in life that we can't really help each other with, you know. So I don't know, that may sound like a real wishy-washy answer, but I just feel like I don't want to start introducing these hard and fast rules. Even the business about don't get in a relationship. Now, if you're brand new off the street, I will tell you, you are playing with fire, young lady. You know, I will flat out tell them. But to say, no, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that within this month, that month. I have heard wonderful things come out of the mouths of people with like 6 months of sobriety. I have really learned some stuff from young people in this program. And so nobody could tell me what to do when I was first sober, so who am I to tell somebody else? But maybe that's a weird perspective. I don't know. Thank you.
Oh boy, y'all better buckle up. You know, I've heard through my experience in times in here over the years from the fellowship, people talking about love. This is what I've noticed. How can two people get together on something that's about emotions when some of us have been numb for years? You know, literally numb for years. And relationships are all about emotions, you know. And now when it comes to the sponsor-sponsee thing, you know, I don't have to have a title to help somebody do work on your recovery. You know, but one thing that I definitely do, see, I'm married. I married my first love and the very first person I ever got loaded with. After being separated for 40 years, we'll be married 5 years in April. You know, and she does her thing her way, I do mine in here. You know, but my thing is this. I know the difference today between a relationship and a hostage situation. You know, and that's the most important thing and the most valuable thing we have to remember in every relationship, especially in the sponsor-sponsee relationship. I don't force this program on nobody. If you want it, then I want to help you. You know, I don't necessarily say what nobody else's motive is, but if you come to me for recovery, I'm going to keep it focused on recovery. Because first of all, I believe in the vows I told my wife, and I told my wife this when we got married. I did an anagram for love. I said, first of all, I'm never going to leave you. And the O was, no matter what comes up against our marriage, our strength of our love for one another is going to overcome. And the victory is going to always be given to the God of our understanding. But I'm loving her not just for this life, but for the next life after. Forever, eternally. And I believe in that. See, because this program has taught me not to just say a principle, live it. See, because when you're talking about working steps, what do you really mean anyway? You know, I make my guys live them because I tell them, well, how did you do the honesty today? The honesty, how did you work? Did you struggle with it? What about acceptance? How did you do that today? How did it work out for you? And see, because I make them live it, because then once we go through it one time, then, you know, because honesty the first time, I just want them to focus on them. But the next time, it's got to be about other people. See, the steps and the principles have different levels. You know, it has different levels. Now, just like I say, if a young lady come to me, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, we're going to work these steps. I ain't got to necessarily have that title, but I'm going to tell you right now what it ain't going to be. You can do what you want to after that. But if you really want about recovery, then let's go. But if you ain't about it, I'm not about nothing else. You know, because just like I say, we have to live, because I have also seen people with lots of clean time get mixed up in stuff like that and lose it. Like lots of sober time and lose their sobriety and their recovery. I've seen it a lot of times. So I tell people to be careful of that, because, you know, just because it didn't happen to you, I believe all of us in here are yetters. And you know what yet means? You're eligible too. So if you don't want to take that chance, don't take that chance. You know, if you're not sure of your motive, don't make that move. But if you're sure and steadfast on what you believe in, and that's what this program gives us. This gives, just like I say, strengthening and helps us to empower ourselves over the things that we used to think that was making us weak. See, I don't let the bully take my lunch money every day no more. I don't let that happen, because this program has shown me how to tell the bully, no. If you take this money there, it's going to be repercussions and consequences. You know, so for me, you know, I know my motives, and you know, I can't cover nobody else's. But whoever you sponsor, whether it's male or female, know that. Know what you stand on and stand on what you believe in. Because this disease, not only is our disease, but the other people's disease can get on us too if we're not careful. So you have to be strong in yours. That's my experience.
Hey family, Greg Hughes, alcoholic. 2.5 years ago, I was extremely complacent. I was going to one meeting a week, which was my home group. Didn't have a service position, was certainly not sponsoring anybody. And I heard a dear friend of mine at Ickipah, New Orleans, say something that just reinvigorated me. I guess it's a follow-up to the first question. Have any of you gotten complacency in your sobriety, and what did you do to get out of that complacency?
I'm Gordon, I'm an alcoholic. And when I was about 10 months sober, I got into a kind of a funk. And I didn't know, coming off the pink cloud or whatever you want to call it. But I brought it up at a meeting, and there was a guy there that had 19 years. And back then, that was a long sobriety. Long sobriety was 5 years. But this guy, his name was Lou, he said, sometimes I feel that way, but it always passes. And that gave me, in one word, I can tell you what it gave me, hope. Now, when I told my sponsor about this, he said, well, when was it you were feeling okay? And I said, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And then he asked me, what were you doing then that you're not doing now? And guess what? My comfort zone on meetings back then, because I had a kind of a trying job, but anyway, was 3 meetings a week. I had cut back on that. I wasn't doing my prayer and meditation as religiously, I guess, as I should. And so they were things that I didn't even realize that I was slacking on that led to me feeling, am I supposed to feel this way sober, you know? So anyway, I don't know if that's answered your question, but anyway, we have sponsors that we can take these things to, and they'll help us through these times when we need reassurance, you know, that when we need to, they can see things, and that's why it's important to have a sponsor. My sponsor can see things in me that I can't see in me, and they can direct me in the right direction.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. We have 5 minutes left. Justin has one more question for all 4 of y'all to answer, and then we kind of got to wrap it up to stay on.
So, Justin, alcoholic. So my question early in sobriety, it was talked to me a lot about finding a new experience within AA. And one thing that I have understood is just maintaining the same basic schedule can bore me at times. So it's vital. One of the reasons I got involved in Red Stick Roundup is for me to try to find a new experience within AA so I stay here. You know, it's one thing I've learned is that if someone is just dull, and I don't want to be around that. I want to be around the person that's happy, that's joyous and free. And what's vital for me with that is finding it inside of these rooms. How do y'all do that? How do you do that at 20 and 30 and 40 years? Continue to find a new experience in AA.
Now, don't y'all laugh. Jason said I'm retired. Y'all heard it, okay? I just want to know, he told me I'm retired. But a new experience for me could be so, okay, I'm just not good with a mic, y'all. I talk loud enough without. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, finding a new experience. Oh, I got a whole new experience. I got a 9-year-old grandson. If I was not sober and clean, I want you to know, I'd be drunk and crazy. So I never thought that's a new experience, for me. That's totally different. Being a member of a church and not sitting in there talking about them good Methodist people need to do this, that, and the other. I have a different perception of church now that I've been in here so long. And now it's incredible how I can hear the minister talk about recovery thing. I'm sure the man been saying that, He been saying it. It's just so many. I picked up a hobby. I like making jewelry. That's a new experience. And I'll make jewelry to give away. And people constantly tell me, but why don't you sell it? I don't want to sell it. I want to give it away. I go to the cancer place where I had my treatment at, and I bring my little bag of pens and stuff. So that's a new experience. Getting outside of yourself is the real deal. Getting outside of yourself, doing something for someone else. And they don't necessarily have to be in the program. Because, see, one of the things was, when I came in here at 29 years old, I wasn't trying to help nobody do nothing but help me. Okay? And that's what I've had to learn. So when people call and they say, can you do something? Yeah, I got you. And every time I do that, it's a new and different experience. So it's just opening yourself up to different things.
If you want a new experience, work with another alcoholic. You will get a new experience every time. I promise you. And so anyway, time's short. That's all I got.
Thank you. I'll be very short, too. I love people. I have been a people pleaser at times, but I just love people. I really love children, and I love to have good, solid relationships with people, friends. And the friends that I've made in this program have been amazing. And I like to deepen those relationships. That's one of the things that keeps this fresh for me. When a person is an acquaintance who becomes a friend, who becomes a dear friend, who becomes somebody that I would call if I were in a pinch and know that they would call me if they were in a pinch. Those kinds of, and it doesn't matter, men, women, like I said, children. I've sponsored people who were like not even 20 yet, and I've sponsored people that were my age. And I love just people in the program of AA, because we're all, for the most part, there's always a couple of bad apples in the barrel, but for the most part, I think that we're all trying to live a different way. And it's that revolves around love and trust. And that's what keeps it new for me. All of those relationships that deepen over time.
Oh boy, okay. Life is life, and it's gonna keep on lifing, but the practicing these principles in all our affairs, that's for me. Because there are still some scenarios in life that I haven't had an opportunity to practice this in yet. But I know they're going to afford themselves to me hopefully before my eyes close. It's not too long from now. But that's the thing for me, and talking about the procrastination, the being, the word that you said, just complacent. Yeah, for me, complacency is an indicator for me. It's an indicator that either I'm doing too much and I ain't getting nothing from it, or I need to simplify so I can get refocused. Because I find myself doing that, and when I do that, I'm really like off balance. And this program it's about balance. Because from any one of us in here, that's what we all really want to see. We just want to get to a reasonable amount of peace in our life. And if we're doing too much, you can't get it, and if you're doing too little, you can't find it. So it's about finding that balance in your life. So for me, practicing these principles in all of my affairs, and let life be life, and not trying to force life to be what I think it is. It's been the best thing for me all the way around. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Will.
I'm Gordon. One last thing, Russ. I want to thank y'all for your attention and some very good questions. Yeah, that was good. I hope we were able to, at least answer partially.
And my last thought with you, if you practice some principles, you won't have any affairs.
Yes, indeed. Like it. So look, real quick, we are out of time. Real quick, real fast. Each one of y'all, real quick, one sentence, 3, 4, 5 words on one thing you can say to a newcomer that's new in sobriety, real quick. Just one sentence they can keep in their mind and leave this convention with.
You don't have to ever drink again.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not going to repeat it. But my sponsor told me something, and he told me I was going to do this and going to do that and going to do that. And I said, hold on a minute. I thought this was a program of suggestions. He said, oh, but it is. I suggest you do what the hell I tell you to do, or you find yourself another sponsor. Okay. So do what your sponsor says.
One of my favorite sayings from the big book is love and tolerance of others is our code. And I would love to be able to instill that in the women that I sponsor, that everybody's living their own life. We're all doing the best we can. I love the phrase, live and let live. That's it.
Repeating one more time for newcomers and anybody else that's here. Give yourself the best gift you can give you, and that's a better you. There's nobody in here that can't receive this gift if you really want it. If you're tired of what you had, come and get something brand new.
Thank y'all very much for taking y'all's time. I really appreciate it. Red Stick Roundup, I know I got a lot out of it. And with that being said, let's close the meeting with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.